Hi, everybody. It's Miss May. I'm the school counselor for Early College High School. Thank you for watching this video. So before I dive into information, I just want to let the parents know my hours of operation. I am available Mondays through Fridays from 8:15 to 3:15. I do take a lunch Mondays through Thursdays from 11 to 11:45. And then I take a lunch when the students take a lunch because every Friday I am available during their free period in the cafeteria. My student accessibility, they are able to do drop-ins during their lunchtime, except for Key Club days, which are the second and fourth Wednesdays. And then every third Thursday, I go to the district office for an office meeting. Drop-ins means students do not need an appointment to come and talk to me about whatever is on their mind. And again, every Friday, first through sixth period, I do have drop-ins during your students' off period or free period. I'm in the cafeteria, so I'm very, very visible to the students. Again, no appointment needed, but appointments are highly recommended. I have an appointment link that's at the bottom of my signature in every email that I send to students. Just a quick overview of the presentation. I will talk about how I help my students. I'm going to review the four-year plan. I'll discuss the college entrance requirements for A through D for the UCs and CSUs and the private universities. I will touch on the SAT, ACT examination requirements, and as well as I have a comparison matrix for our high school graduation and the A through G. And after that, I'll go on and talk about the tiered diploma, some scholarship information, and then I'm going to go into depth about the Solano Community College side of early college. So I'll discuss how students pick their college classes and how it helps graduation and the A through G. I'll talk about the foreign language breakdown and how to utilize the class search, class finder, and then talk about detailed deadlines. So how do I help your students? So I make sure that the ECHS students will graduate with their high school diploma and be able to meet their lower division general education requirement at Solano. I do scheduled visits to the college readiness class every 2 weeks, where I go in and I talk about high school graduation and college entrance requirements. I thoroughly explain what IGETSI is and how to utilize it as a tool. During 12th grade year, especially, I go in and I provide direct support for those college applications, just to make sure that your students are accurately reporting those courses to meet the A through G. And I also do the one-on-one appointments. I could help your student with academic support, such as organizational skills, test-taking skills, any problem-solving skills. I do offer limited social emotional support. And of course, I help your students register for their Solano College courses. And during those one-on-one meetings, I offer that individualized four-year plan that's geared towards your students' goals for their major and what university they would like to attend. So now we're on the four-year plan overview. In the later slide, there's going to be a link that'll kind of show it all as one document. But this is just a breakdown of it. So during ninth grade year, all the students have English, their math, a biology class, a PE class, and that college readiness class. And typically, the high school classes stay the same the whole entire year. And usually a student will take foreign language in the fall, and then will continue to take foreign language. And if they do want to complete or take a second college class in the spring, I recommend doing a visual and performing arts course listed on the IGETSI Area 3A, which I'll explain more in the presentation. But the minimum college class that's required is just one each semester. And each semester, the college classes will change unless your student fails their first college class from the last semester. So in 10th grade, again, your student will have their English 10, their high school math. Then we take away the science class and add world civilization. They will continue on to taking PE 10 and then that CR 10. And then again, we just recommend one college class each semester. But if students would like, they can take 2 or 3. And typically they will continue on with their foreign language and could finish it by 10th grade year. And then students can now add their college prep elective, as I will discuss in when I explain IGETC. And then in 11th grade year, they will take their English 11, then US history, and then we add back the science class, which is chemistry of the earth. And then they will continue on with CR 11. And then if your student is started off with math 1, and then did math 2 in 10th grade year, they will continue on to the high school math 3. If your student started off in the accelerated compacted math 1 to 9th grade year, and then in 10th grade completed the compacted high school math 2, 3, there is no more high school math that we can offer at early college high school. So your student must complete a college level math in order to graduate with their high school diploma. And then more on that when I go through the IGETC on how to pick the appropriate college math. And then in 12th grade year, your student will continue, they'll either have the high school economics, either in the fall or the spring, and then government either in the fall and the spring. Those are semester long courses. And then they will be in that senior project, and then a CR12, and then a high school elective of their choice. This year, we were able to offer leadership, PE, and then a 12th grade English, and very limited spots for cadet teaching. If the student does not want to take the high school English, the expectation is for your student to complete the English 1 because they need 4 years of English to graduate high school. And again, the minimum classes to be a full-time high school student is 4. And that's why we have to have that elective as a 4th high school class. So this is where the links will be working. So if you click here to view the ECHS Counselor Graduation Guide, it will populate with this document that I will be sharing with your students soon. But there's a few different tabs here. So this is that 4-year plan that showcases all of their high school classes that they will be in every school year. And then the opportunity to take at least 1 college class each semester, and then 2 during 12th grade year. So there's information here about their high school diploma, if they're on track, and then that college distinction that I'll talk about. There's an A through G check as well. There's an IGETC check, and then also that associate's degree check that I will be using with your students when we have our meetings. But before they're able to complete this, I do ask your students to do a 30-minute one-on-one meeting with me, so then we can complete this 4-year plan for their college classes. And this is really tailored around meeting graduation, being A through G, as well as if they want to get that 2-year degree, or if not, planning the college classes around their major and anticipated university that they want to attend after they graduate. And again, the presentation will be shared, so the links will be working for you. So in addition to those A through G classes that students have to pass through the letter grade of C or better, the expectation for UC, the minimum GPA is 3.0. But the grades that they use to calculate this GPA are from the courses taken during 10th and 11th grade year. Again, right here, this is just more information for the UC. It's a working link, a lot of information here. So this is the website I get my updates from. And again, our students are first-time freshmen when they apply to the UCs and CSUs. So take a look at this, and it breaks down the A through G requirements, their GPA, and then there is information here about exam requirements, which I'll touch on. And the same thing for the CSUs. You know, they require the A through G. Again, this is a working link that you can click into if you are you and your student are interested in attending a CSU. But the minimum GPA for CSUs is lower. It's a 2.0. But again, it's the classes taken during 10th and 11th grade year, where that's how they calculate the GPA. And then for private universities, I highly recommend for your student to visit each individual university's website for deadlines and requirements. During our one-on-one, I do help your student complete that research, just so they're aware as well. And then I guide them through sending an email to ensure that the college classes from Solano would transfer over. If your student did decide to stay as a 5th year at Solano College, I highly recommend to meet with the Solano College counselor. This is a working link on how to schedule that appointment. But they would be considered as a transfer student if they did decide to stay after high school graduation at Solano. And there's other requirements there that I am not well versed on. So I highly recommend meeting with the Solano College counselor. So the additional, more college entrance entrance requirements, the ECHS courses, just a lot of working links here. There's a website that the UCs and CSUs will use if they're not sure if a course is A through G. The public has access to this, so there's a link here, and then there's additional resources here for you to view. And this was a handout that I passed out when I had the in-person presentation last week. So into the examination requirements, with COVID, there has been changes to this requirement. So I always advise students to reference the specific university's requirements through their website. Typically, it should be completed by December of your student's 12th grade year. And these are the websites that you could visit if you were interested in signing up to take the test. So for UCs, again, they require 3.0 GPA in the A through G courses. And now they are waiving, so they will not consider the SAT or ACT test scores when making their admissions decision or awarding scholarships. If students do choose to submit those test scores, they're just an alternative method to fulfill minimum requirements or eligibility for course placement. But if your ECHS student is taking the college math and the English math, it's not necessary to provide it or to take it. But with 11th graders, if they do take the PSATs, they are able to qualify if they test high enough for a scholarship. So for CSUs, again, the GPA is a 2.0 or better in the A through G course requirements. As of right now, they are only temporarily suspending the requirements for examinations through spring 2023 only. If there's any updates, I check it every August to see. But as of right now, 9th and 10th graders are going to be required to take their SAT or SAT test by December of their senior year if they are planning to apply to a CSU. And again, there's working links here that will be active when the presentation gets shared. So this is the matrix that I created just to give a visual on the FSUSU's graduation requirements, and then the UCs and CSU's A through G subject requirements. So if you notice here, our World Civ, our US history requirements, you need 30 credits, which is equivalent to like 3 years. The area A, which is a history and social requirement for A through G, they require 2 years. Econ does not meet an area A, it goes into a G. So with just our high school classes, students will have 2.5 years for area A. For our English requirements for graduation, students need 40 credits or 4 years. This year, we are able to offer the 4 years. Some students opt into doing the 4th year of high school English and still moving on to college English. With that, if they do that, they will have 5 years completed for area B for A through G. For math, we require 30 credits or the 3 years here. If your student is in math 1, and then they move on to math 2, and then they move on to math 3, they will meet the minimum requirements for graduation, as well as meet the area C requirements for the A through G. If your student is in the high school math 1, 2, and then for 10th grade year, they move on to math 2, 3, they will only have 20 of the 30 credits needed to graduate high school. But the UCs and CSUs recognize the accelerated math 1, 2, and the accelerated math 2, 3 as the equivalent of having 3 years. So since they need 1 more year to graduate high school when they take it to the college class, through the college, excuse me, they will then have the 4 years completed for area C. For our science requirements, that's that living earth biology and the chem earth, through the high school classes, they will be able to meet the graduation requirements through our high school classes, as well as meet the minimum requirements to fulfill area D. If your student decides to go through with college math or college science, where they require 2, typically they will have 4 here. And then for our graduation, it's either art or foreign language or CTE, and we need a total of 20. So that could be completed through taking the foreign language or a visual and performing arts class under area 3A, where I'll show you what that is on ECHS. And so this is a big difference where it's either or for graduation, but for A through G, they require both. So area E, students have to have 2 years of the same foreign language minimum to be eligible to apply. And then area F, they require 1 year of a visual and performing arts to qualify for CSUs. So if your student is A through G, they will end up having 30 of the 20 credits completed for graduation. And then our electives for graduation, we require 70 credits. As of right now, students will, for their electives are their CR9, CR10, CR11, CR12, and senior projects, and possibly another elective in 12th grade year, depending on what they pick. So minimum, they will have 50 of the 70 credits needed to graduate high school. And then for A through G, they require a year. So again, they'll have half a year from econ. So then the 20 extra credits that they need to graduate will come from the ECHS courses that doesn't meet any of these other areas. And they could end up having 2.5 years for area G. And then PE, we need 20 credits. That would be completed with our high school PE 9 and high school PE 10. And then again, for A through G, students have to earn a C or better each semester. So here's the tiered diploma. The very first graduating class is this year. So they do offer 3 different types of tiered diplomas. The one highlighted, which is the diploma and the college distinction, is really the one that's the most accessible to our students at early college, just because of, we take college classes. And then when we click here, it outlines the requirements for each one. No, this is, I have to fix the link to this. So here with the college distinction, to get the college distinction, students have to be A through G. And then one of the requirements of early college high school to maintain their spot here, they have to be A through G plus one of the following. So automatically, as soon as a student passes a college class, just one semester, they will have met one of these. And the third requirement is just completing 50 hours of community service throughout grades 9 through 12. There is a way for students to get this the college and career distinction diploma. One of the requirements for that is completing a CTE pathway. So we would have to use Solano College's CTE pathway. And majority of those CTE pathways require like 10 college classes that are not non-academic. So if your student is interested in it, we'll have that discussion during our one-on-one meeting. But it is possible, but it's just a lot more requirements for your student to get. And it's just really just another certificate that your student could work on, and they can include it on their resume. So here's some scholarship information. All FSUSU students have access to Naviance. When I do my every 2 week CR visits, I will touch on it and let them know the resources there. There's a Sistograd, that's the spring semester of 12th grade year. There's an application that opens from January to February, and we do complete that during CR 12. There's Solano College scholarships here that the ECHS students have access to. And then here are some more other links that you can get into. These were provided by the California Student Aid Commission when I attended a conference. So a lot of these will ask you to create a profile or a login. It'll ask your students' interest, and then based on how they answer, it'll populate recommendations of a scholarship. And rule of thumb, if they ask for a form of payment, please do not go with that scholarship, because a lot of scholarships they're free to apply. So now we're going to move on to the Solano IGETSI, or the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. I did have a handout for this, but if you click here, this will allow you to get into a fillable document, and it's not working right now. I apologize. But when it does work, it should populate with the IGETSI, and you should be able to print it out. So there it is. It loaded up. And this is what it looks like. Each year, they do come out with an updated version. Sometimes there are changes, sometimes there's not. But I do provide it every single year to all of the students, just so they have the most up-to-date version. So what is IGETSI? So IGETSI, it is a series of courses that community college transfer adult students would take to fulfill the lower division general education requirement for any major at the UC or CSU. Private universities will typically take it. I just would recommend that you guys send an email directly to that university to make sure and double check. And then I teach your students to use IGETSI so they understand how it meets high school graduation, such as the foreign language, visual and performing arts, and electives, and also meeting those A through G requirements. And again, regardless of the number of transferable units your students complete, all ECHS students are considered freshman applicants, especially since they are applying while they are still in high school. And then I typically, I make sure your students, if they are done with IGETSI, that they complete the paperwork to get an IGETSI certification from Solano's Admissions and Records, or the ANR, just so it's something that's official. And then that way, when they do transfer to the UC or CSUs, they get a statement stating that they've fulfilled all of the lower division general education course requirements for their 4-year degree. So moving on to the IGETSI. So area 1 is the English composition requirement. On here, it talks about, where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. So it talks about the CSU. So CSU requires for the students to complete one course from each 1A, 1B, and 1C. So 1A would be that English 1. 1B would either be English 2 or 4. And then 1C is that oral communication, The popular courses is COM 1, which is Introduction to Public Speaking. I have seen with the UCs where a major requires it. I just recommend it for all students to take because, you know, they like to talk, and it just helps you communicate better and to just ensure that nobody misunderstands what you're trying to convey. Okay. And then the UCs, they just require one course from 1A and one from 1B. So that's English 1 to meet the 1A. And then it's either English 2 or 4 for 1B. And then there's a link here for a placement guide. But typically a student can start taking English 1 in 12th grade year after high school English 11. And then area 2 is the mathematical concepts and quantitative reasoning. It states here to meet area 2, they have to complete one course. Again, that's just the minimum requirement for non-science major students. One course will be sufficient, and I typically recommend Math 11, which is statistics. If the student is interested in being a science major, they are looking at completing Math 51, which is not listed here, then Math 2, then Math 20, 21, 22, 23, 30, and 31, and then 40. And there is a link here that will show you a pathway for it based on their major. So here's the STEM major, where they require all of the maths as well as this physics class. And then I get to see area 3A. This is for area 3, but it's broken up into 3A and 3B. To complete area 3, students have to complete 3 courses, a minimum of 1 course from each 3A and 3B. So here's all the courses that students can take. Any classes under this will meet the visual and performing arts requirement for high school graduation and the college entrance area F for the A through G. Just one class a semester will give them 1 year. And then area 3B here, again, they need 1 course from here. If you guys do notice, foreign language Spanish 2 through 4 and then French 2 to 4 can be used to meet 3B, as well as making them more competitive, because then it's additional years for that foreign language requirement. Again, for students to take Spanish 2, they have to take Spanish 1 first or take a placement test. And the same thing applies for students to take French 2. They have to take French 31 and 32 first or take a placement test. Area 4 is the social and behavioral sciences. Students have to complete 3 courses from at least 2 different disciplines. And then any classes taken here are used to meet the elective requirements for graduation and also meet the area G for A through G with some exceptions. So anything that's not like a history class will be a G, because we would want that to meet the area A for these history classes. And then area 5 is our physical and biological science. Students should complete 1 course from each 5A and 5B, one of which it must include a lab. 5C may be used to complete the lab requirement. The corresponding lecture course must be completed prior to or concurrently with the lab course. And then again, there's a link here for pre-med and in a biology major. So a non-science major student can take like the astro classes, geology and geography, and then pair it up with this bio 15. Since bio 15 has this L by it means there's a log. So your student has already met the 5C. So they could pair it up with astro 10 and then bio 15 and complete area 5. So area 6 on I get C, language other than English, it does state it's a UC requirement only, but since ECHS students are considered first-time freshmen, this is a requirement for them. And it just goes on to say complete 1 course or proficiency equivalent to 2 years. So if you guys notice here, ASL1 is listed. So taking ASL1 is equivalent to the 2 years. The same thing with Spanish 1 and then Spanish 32. In the past, they have offered the 31 and 32, but they have gone away with that. And then with French, it's French 1 or French 32. But typically, students would start with French 31 and then move on to 32. And this area can overlap with area 3B. So here's just a breakdown of foreign language. Again, the 31, 32, they're no longer offered by Solano. So if your student takes Spanish 1, it's equivalent to the first and second year of high school Spanish. And then Spanish 2 provides the third year of high school Spanish. And then Spanish 3 provides the fourth year of high school Spanish. And then French, so if your student, we recommend doing the French 31 and 32. So that'll give your student the first and second year of high school French. But if your student does have background in French, they could opt into French 1 if it fits in their schedule. And that provides the same equivalency of the first and second year. And then French 2 will give the third year of high school French. And then French 3 gives the fourth year of high school French. And then ASL, so ASL 1 is equal to the first and second year of American Sign Language. ASL 2 is the third year of high school American Sign Language. And then ASL 3 provides the fourth year of high school sign language. And then there is a CSU graduation requirement. It's not part of the IGETC, but if students are picking classes, it would be best to pick classes that will meet multiple requirements. So like political science 1 meets an area 4 requirement, and then history 17, 18, 28, 29, 37 can meet an area 3B or an area 4 requirement as well. And then Solano does, if your student is interested in getting an associate's degree, there's a Solano cross-cultural graduation requirement that can be used in other areas. So if we go back to area 3A, they can take art 12, cinema 11, music 13, and theater 13, and that'll meet a cross-cultural graduation requirement for and a 2-year degree from Solano, meet area 3A, meet the art graduation requirement, and then meet the area F for college entrance A to G requirement. So we are in the process of registering again for spring. I was notified that November 1st is when the schedule will be published by Solano, but this could be subject to change per Solano College. So I will be posting a Google form on my Google Classroom that students, they've already got instruction on how to complete it. It will then generate a form that I will print out and then return to students on a Friday. And then the expectation is that they return it back to us Monday, November 8th to college readiness classes. So then we can get it cleared by December 1st so your student can self-register themselves. So this is the website to check the Solano class finder. So this is just the homepage for Solano College. So if you wanted if you want to check out your students' like transcript, you could have them log into their My Solano. And it's typically, if you hover over academics, it'll be here, the My Solano. But for some reason, it's not loading. I apologize. That's okay. So moving on. So here, typically, it'll say class search. So if I click it, it'll be the class finder. And when the spring 2022 gets published, it'll be an option here. So let's say I am interested in taking my art 12. So there is art 12. So I go back here and I click art. And then right now I'm just going to select all classes. So now go here and find art 12. And then here's art 12. So I teach the students how to read it. Here's the title. Of course, advisory is just stating that since it's English 1, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of college level writing. It talks about the general education and what it means, the number of hours of lecture. And then this is the description of what the course would entail. And then it talks, it lets you know the CRN, which is the code that students will use to self-register, the number of units, the days that they meet, and if it's virtual and online. If there's a meeting time, it'll tell you here. And this looks like it tells you the course is fully online, and it includes participation as well as Zoom meetings that meets Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 1 to 4:50. So if your student were to pick a class that has a meeting time like this, we want to make sure that there are no conflicts with their high school class. And if there is, I'll try my best to change the schedule, but I can't guarantee it. And then here's some more additional resources. There's counseling resource links here, dates and deadlines that you can take a look at. And then just to let you guys know, for every 3 college units, your student will get 10 high school credits for it. There are some classes that are 5 units that will give your student 17 high school credits. And then the 2-year degrees at Solano. So I advise students starting in the spring of 10th grade year to schedule an appointment with their Solano College counselor to discuss the requirements. But prior to doing that, I do, when we do our one-on-one meetings, which we complete once a semester, I make sure that they understand, the content of the conversation that they will have with the Solano College counselor, so they're not lost during the meeting. And then again, that IGETC certification, I let the 12th graders know in the spring. I give them the paperwork, and then I collect it, and then I submit it for them. And then some more information about K-12 students. So college classes are based on availability, and then your students' individualized 4-year plan. K-12 students are capped at 11 units during fall and spring semester. Summer session is not part of the program. It's optional, but it is highly recommended if your student is interested in that 2-year degree. I highly, highly recommend to meet with the Solano College counselor because I am a high school counselor. And the summer session, if we have the textbook, we will let your student borrow it. But if we do not, the student and the family will have to purchase it on their own. And we don't pay the health fees and the student fees during the summer session. And then again, with fees, if your student registers for 6 units or more over the summer, you guys will have to pay the full cost of tuition, which is $46 a unit. And it's for all units, not just a proration of the excess from the 6. So all units will be charged the $46 a unit. And I just want to touch a little bit on the catalog rights. It's just specific set of requirements that's established the moment your student becomes a Solano College student. So if there were any changes that happen, like the IGETC, if they drop the class that was listed there when your student started, we can request for catalog rights. So then that class that they took wouldn't be a waste. And then again, just to let you guys know my availability and my contact information, I'm available Mondays through Fridays from 8:15 to 3:15. I highly recommend scheduling an appointment. They're 30 minutes long. I am available via Google Meet or in person. If you can't find the time, please email me. That is the best way to get in touch with me. Just because I do go into the classrooms, and then if I'm not in a classroom, I have a lot of meetings with students. You can call my office and leave a message. I will try my best to get back to you. But again, email is best. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have questions. Have a great night.